If not, just tell us who you are. These are all new 1L students. We all need to see who they are.
My name is Mariah. I currently work in healthcare in LA County. I was in law enforcement as a police explorer for 7 years and decided to come here and pursue a different area of law. Nice.
Where did you work in law enforcement?
Riverside Sheriff and Cathedral City Police.
RSO, very nice. And Cat City too. Very nice. Nice to have you with us. Yes, thanks.
Hi, my name is Alejandra. I have a history of being a legal secretary, and I previously was actually a STEM student, and I got my bachelor's in chemistry and was in healthcare, and then I kind of pivoted into legal field through just life experiences.
What kind of work did you do as a legal secretary?
I worked for personal injury defense, and then I also work right now for estate planning and probate.
Very nice. Very nice to have you with us.
Hello, my name is Jose. I'm born and raised here in India, California. I just got my bachelor's in criminal justice. I'm here taking my next step to become a lawyer.
Is that at Cal State San Bernardino?
Yeah, can I say something here?
Congratulations, and glad to have you here with us.
Good.
And you're lucky to have a wonderful class here.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I recently graduated from Cal State San Marcos with a bachelor's in psychology and political science.
Excellent background for a lawyer. Thank you, Kristen. Ingrid.
Hello, I am Ingrid Ayala, new student. I did graduate from San Diego State with a bachelor's in criminal justice, and I decided to pursue law.
Very nice, Ingrid.
Hi everyone, my name is Valeria Gutierrez. I'm from here, from the Valley. I was born and raised here. I hold a BA in political science with a concentration in international studies, and right now I work at a law firm here in the Valley doing workers' compensation and personal injury crossover.
Good.
My name is Jenny Shikawa. I currently work for the United States Department of Agriculture, and I do all their grants and subsidized programs for the farmers and ranchers here in Riverside County and San Diego County.
Is it Jenny?
Yes,
Are you responsible for these goodies?
I am.
Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. So, the purpose here is for everybody to get to know everybody. We like to make sure that everyone is aware of everyone in the law school. So we'll just start with Nick and Belle. Stand up and tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Nick McAllis. This is my wife, Belle. Belle is going into her final year here at the school. It has been life-changing for us. We have a community here. I feel like we have a family here. Got to know John. John is one of the best guys in the world, and Irene. And yeah, we love it here and proud to be here today.
All right, Belle, tell them about yourself a little bit.
I'm Belle. I am entering my last year here and I'm very excited. It's been a wonderful experience and thank you. I am super, super pumped to see all these new students and to get to know everybody. And if you need any help, please ask me. I'm like an open book and I love to just help everybody if I can.
Belle was a top student in her class last year. Did a great job. Sir?
Hi everyone, my name is Ricardo.
Who are you here with?
I'm here with Crystal Morgan.
Very nice. Ben? Yes, you.
Okay, te tienes que introducir.
Tell us who you are.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Claudia Mendoza, soy mamá de Valeria Gutierrez.
Raise your hand. Very nice. All right, next to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yesenia and I'm here supporting my sister Valerie. I'm very excited for her and her new journey.
Very nice.
Hello everybody, my name is Angel. Just supporting my older brother, Jose.
Who are you with?
Jose.
Jose. All right, Jose, very nice.
Hi, my name is Zulema Martinez and I'm here to support my boyfriend Jose.
All right. Got some cheerleaders there, Jose. How about the back in the corner?
The corner.
Soy el papá de Valeria Gutierrez.
Very nice.
¿Cómo se llama?
Armando.
Armando.
Next to you.
Mando you.
Go ahead.
Ándale tú. Párate y you support me.
Gutierrez and I'm here in support of my sister Valeria.
Isabel.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabel. I'm a CDTA alum, current practicing attorney, and I'm also a professor here at CDTA. So, fourth year you guys.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jessica. I am a fourth year student here at CDTA. Nice to meet you.
Yes, you made it this far. Dean Steady.
And I'm Sue Stedding, I'm the Dean of Students, I co-teach criminal law, I'm a law school graduate from the University of San Diego College of Law, and 35 years as a Riverside County District Attorney lawyer.
Fantastic. Irene, why don't you say hello to everybody? Everybody knows you already.
My name's Irene Garcia Dolan, and I'm the registrar and the head cook here at the law.
Irene, is anything you need, just go to Irene. Everybody does. Isela.
Hi guys, my name is Isela. I'm Irene's admin assistant here at CDTA, so you guys will be getting emails from me.
Isela's at the front desk along with Elisa during the day.
Hi, I'm Deanna Dominguez, and I'm here bringing my badge to you.
Very nice. David?
Hi, I'm David Bourne. I'm a 2L here.
Good to have you here.
Hi, I'm Vincent Sparella. 10 years ago, I was where you guys were, just not in this building. Graduated from here in 2019 and practicing attorney, and Alejandra was actually my assistant.
I can't believe 10 years ago.
You know, I was telling her it was 10 years that I was there, and I was like, wait, no, that can't be right.
You're right. Mitch?
Yeah, my name is Mitch. I'm a 4L here, and this will be my last school orientation, so super excited. If you guys do need any help, please reach out, and the best thing you can do is use your resources here, so there's lots of them.
I'm Alex. I'm here to bring my wife. Alejandra, sorry.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mi nombre es Brenda, soy la mamá de Ingrid, estudiante.
Beautiful.
Hi, my name is Stacy, and I'm the middle sister. I'm here supporting Ingrid.
How about that?
My name is Natisa. I'm here supporting Mariah. She's my niece.
Very nice.
My name is Margaret, and I'm here to support Mariah. She's my niece.
Sir, right up here.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ronnie Ishikawa, and I'm Jenny Ishikawa's husband, my biggest supporter.
Excellent. Lucky Jenny.
Good morning, my name is Raquel Gutierrez. I'm entering into my 2L school year here, and I'm excited.
All right.
Good morning, my name is George, and I'm here to support my wife, Mariah.
No?
My name is Mary, and I'm the proud grandmother of Mariah.
John?
Good morning. My name is John Evans, and I'm a retired trial attorney. I'm a retired judge, and I'll be teaching torts this year to everyone else.
Great. Elizabeth?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Tucker. I'm a Superior Court judge sitting here at Larson Justice Center. Prior to that, I was a deputy district attorney for Riverside County, and I teach juvenile law for 3Ls.
Fantastic. And I didn't tell you, my name is John Patrick Dolan. You probably know that. Some of you know that. And I'm a trial lawyer here. I go to court every day, and I'm part of the administration of the law school here, along with Irene, King Steady, Judge Evans, and Andrea, who is our daughter, who is not here because she had something better to do, I guess. But she might stop by later. And my two proteges are here, Remy and Rowan. They're outside. I think they're 11 now. There they are. Yeah, show up. Wave your hand. Very nice.
Hello.
Who are you?
Remy.
Give me your full name, sir.
Remy Dolan Bouchard.
Excellent, excellent. And who's out there?
Hi.
That's Shayla.
Shayla.
Tell everybody who you are, Shayla.
Hi, I am a 4L law student, so this is my last year, and I'm excited to see all you.
Good, good, good. We want to introduce everybody because the purpose of today is to let all of you who are here to support your family know you will not see them very often in the next 4 years. We have classes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings, and on Saturdays. And then they have study time. And so they have to work and study a lot. And they're not going to ignore you, they're just going to do their work. And you'll have to make time to see them when they're off, which won't be very often. But we do have holidays, We have some weekend dates and all that. We're just so pleased to see these people, the new people here. It takes 4 years to get through this. Then it takes about another year to study for and pass the California bar exam. And then you can go out and be a lawyer. You may have noticed by now, we seem to specialize in young Hispanic women. We're very proud of that. There's a wonderful persistence to the Hispanic women that we have here. But they don't give up, and that's a good thing. We're very proud of that. And we serve our community mostly here in Coachella Valley, but also in the surrounding areas. And I want you to know that we are available. If anybody has any questions, comments, parents, family, friends, or students about anything going on, you just call us, come in and talk to Irene, myself, Judge Evans, Judge Tucker, or anyone else. And the other students, the second, and third, and fourth year students are all very generous with their time, and they will help you quite a bit if you ask, and you just need to ask. We have our little Irene's restaurant out here because every Saturday we have a little lunch after we have our Saturday enrichment program. And it's a very good informal way to meet together and to talk about things that you're not quite getting, or that you want to have questions about, or questions that you have about anything. All of you will get as much attention as you ask for, probably more than you want. But by the end of the fourth year, you should be ready to take that bar exam. You know our first year is comprised of 3 courses: contracts, torts, and criminal law. The order they come in is torts, criminal law, and contracts. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So what we're going to do is have each professor or professors tell you a little bit about the class, okay? So first of all, about torts. Judge Evans is going to tell you a little bit about torts. Not with 60 slides, but with some number of slides.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
All right, now we have a slide presentation. They only give me 20 minutes. I could be here an hour and a half, probably 2 hours, but you'll probably be happy that they're cutting it short. So, my name is John Evans. I'm a retired judge. You can call me professor. You can call me judge, whatever you want. My co-instructor is Professor Samuel Trussell. I talked to him earlier this week, and I'm getting to drive pretty far to get here. He may not be here, but there's 2 of us that teach the class. Sometimes I'm not here, sometimes he's not here, but there's always going to be, for the most part, 2 of us. This is what we're asking you to do, and this is, what? Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, this is what we're going to ask you to do, and this is what we hope we are going to teach you to do. As John Dolan told you, there's 3 areas of law in the first year. It's criminal law, tort law, and contract law. You have to pass those 3 courses in the state of California in order to go on to the second year. The state has decided that this is the fundamental basis of the law in California and throughout the United States. Criminal law came first. After criminal law, that was for punishment, then tort law, that's civil in case you're injured by someone's wrongful conduct. Criminal law punishes wrongful conduct. Civil law, tort law, not rewards you, but compensates you for wrongful conduct. And contract is business. That's the difference, okay? Very close, criminal law and tort law are very close, but the cases, the criminals laws and cases, not cases, but crimes that you have are very similar to the ones that you'll study in torts, because torts came from the criminal law system, okay? I show you this slide because when the student is ready, the master appears. That's a Buddhist proverb. We're the masters. When you look at just your first year professors, you have almost 200 years of experience between the 5 of us. And you have close to 40 years of experience in the classroom teaching you. We're ready. When you're ready, we're here. And not only are we here, but you have all the other students that have been here as well. They want to help, they're willing to help. Their older students helped them when they went through it. They want to help you, they're full of a lot of knowledge. It's very important, okay? Good law schools teach you to think like lawyers. We don't want you to think like lawyers. We want you to think. We'll teach you the law. That's why we're here. If we can just teach you to think and you learn the law, you're going to be potentially a great lawyer. Why are you here? You want to study law, right? What do you want? You want to be a lawyer. Ask any of the professors what we want. We want you, just as bad as you want it, we want you to pass the baby bar. We want you to pass the State Bar of California in 4 years. We also want you to be lawyers. That's what's so great about this school. Every single professor, the staff, everyone here, the students before you, that's what we want. We want you to pass. No one is going to say, I'm the toughest instructor, no one gets an A in my class. No one says that. We want you to learn the law. We will do anything that we possibly can to help you learn the law. Don't get us wrong, it's not easy. It's not easy because it really means something when you become a lawyer. It's a doctorate degree. And once you get that feeling when the State Bar just says you passed the baby bar, you'll get that feeling. But when you pass the California bar, that's a feeling you will never, well, having kids is pretty good, but that's a feeling you'll never, ever forget. Okay, outside of family. It really does mean something to say, I'm a lawyer, and you'll be proud of it. Law school is different than anything that you have ever done before. It's just not the same as the studies in the college and stuff that you had before you got here. Here we're going to give you a fact pattern, which is your client coming into your office. You have to then be able to take your knowledge without being asked. You have to put your knowledge on the paper that makes sense based upon the facts that are given. It's completely different. Here's another reason. When it comes to grading, it's like golf. If the golf tournament says you have to have a 75 score or you can't go on, it's the same thing in California. You get 70% or you go home. Okay? And there's no curve like you probably had in college. It's 70% for everybody. You can all get a 59 and nobody passes. You can all get a 90 and everybody passes. Okay? The state of California doesn't care where you went to school. We don't care where you went to school. We don't care how smart you are. We care that we give you enough knowledge so that when you take the test, you're going to get, think 7. There's 7 of you, think 7. Okay? We want you to get at least a 70 because when you get 70, you get sworn in. Okay? We'll help you get there. So crimes comes first because that was the first thing. The kings and queens back in England, that's where all of our law comes from. That's what was important. The kings punished you. Okay? But that number 3 there, that is an assault case, not in the crimes, but in the civil law courts. Look at the year, the 1348, that is the year of the case. It's going to be your first case in the case book under assault, a case that goes all the way back to 1348. That's how old the law is. Okay? So, the way it works is very simple. It's called stare decisis. It's Latin. Okay? Stare decisis is Latin. It basically says this: let the decision stand. Okay? That's the principle that once a question is considered by a court and answered, every other court has to make the same decision. Because, think about it this way. Do you think we had numbers when our people developed over the years? How did the shepherd count his sheep? They had a little leather pouch or a bag, and they put a pebble in. Every time a sheep went out, they put a pebble out. When the sheep came back, they put a pebble back in the bag. If they had extra pebbles here, some of the sheep didn't come back. But then someone came up with what? Numbers. Okay? Well, that's what's happened with the law. Okay? We didn't have laws either. If someone was injured, they went to court, the judge made a decision. And the next person that was injured, that judge had to follow the same reasoning that the earlier judge followed. That's how it all develops. Okay? All right. The other thing is that stare decisis, there's hundreds of trials that go on every day. Not every case goes up to the appellate court. The trial court is what we do here. The judge, the attorneys, the jury. If one of the attorneys says to the judge, you made a mistake, it goes up to the appellate court. You made a mistake in law. You don't make a mistake of facts. You make a mistake in the law. It goes up to the appellate court, and the appellate court puts what's in your books. We only read those cases. The other cases aren't in the books. Okay? So that's how we get it. If someone said there was a mistake, it went up, they published a decision. The decision says this is the definition of burglary. The breaking and entry into the dwelling of another in the nighttime with the intent to commit a felony. Okay? The judge says that's the law, you didn't prove it, so, or you did prove it, you win or you lose. Okay? So that's how we teach you. It's called the casebook method. Okay? Your first class is going to be torts. You're going to read 60 pages. Okay? And there's going to be some introductory cases, and then we'll get some history of the procedure, and then you'll get into the first case of the book. Okay? Garrett versus Daly. I know it. Okay? So, I don't really want to spend a bunch of time on this, but you just have to try to simplify everything. If it's a crime, you're punishing someone's wrongful conduct. If it is a tort, okay, you're compensating someone because of someone's wrongful conduct. You get into an automobile accident, they injure you, you get monetary compensation. Contracts is completely different. It's business. It makes the business world go around. Crimes and torts make the everyday life, L-I-F-E, it makes life go round. Okay? We don't really care about this, because I just told you about it. So when we study torts, the class of torts, okay, historical, what happened before, that's stare decisis. What were the judges saying about this? Okay? It's also based on social mores, what of course is fair. And the law continues to develop. It's a developing process. Okay? When you have one kid and you want to feed them with the bottle, you have a sterilizer, you put it in the sterilizer, and you do all that type of stuff. The second kid, okay, you boil it in a pot. The third kid, you put it in the dishwasher. The fourth kid, you pick it up off the floor, wipe it on your hands, and stick it in their mouth. Okay? That's because as you go through as a parent, you learn you don't need that stuff. The first kid's book is like this. The fourth kid's book, if he has a book, is like this. So that's what we're doing. They didn't have cars when the law started. They didn't have locomotives. They didn't have AI. They didn't have computers. They didn't have all that stuff. The doctors, all that stuff is changing. So we go to these cases and we see how the courts, the judges are handling these cases, how the law is evolving. And we do that over a slow process, from all the way back to the 1300s. So, torts, our class, my class, the book is 1,404 pages. We're going to cover that in 30 weeks. So it's very important that you are organized, you simplify, you make an outline, you memorize. Okay? All right. You don't know how to brief a case probably. So, how do you use the book? Read it. Okay? When I went to school, I had to read it. I had to read every single case 3 times before I understood what was going on. It took a lot of time. For me, not necessarily for you. If the class is an hour long, it's 3 hours of preparation. If it's 3 hours, it was 9 hours of preparation. For me, that was the work that it took. Okay, here's the other thing too, especially in the torts case book. If you look at the table of contents before you start reading the cases, what was that? Time up?
No. It's a warning. It's a warning.
Anyway, if you look in the table of contents, that's going to tell you what the case is going to be about. It's a really great way to start. Put a little sticky on there so when you open up the book and you have the class section, okay, what are we studying? The table of contents will tell you that. And then the question you ask yourself always is, why did they put this case in the book? Okay, I like to use crimes even though I don't teach it. But if the table of contents says burglary, the first case is going to tell you what the definition of burglary is. Okay, the breaking and entering into the dwelling of another in the nighttime with with the intent to commit a felony. What's a break-in? What's nighttime? That would be the second case. When is nighttime? When the sun goes down? Is it three and a half hour before, a half hour after? That's what the other cases will do. They will tell you that. But the first case tells you the definition. You're not going to get a second case that tells you the definition. You get one case, that's it. They're not going to repeat anything. You have the definition, that's the law, period. Torts is the same way. Okay? All right, I don't think we need to discuss this. We will, this is why the law developed, and this is why the law of torts developed. The foundation of a free country is that you have freedom to do whatever you want, to swing your fist ends where it hits someone else's nose, because then they are harmed. And if they're harmed, then there's going to be a remedy. What is the remedy? They had to determine it. Battery, assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, trespass to land. That all has been decided. We've given labels to every single thing, and that's what you're going to study. Okay? So this is a little bit complicated, but do you guys know what water is, what elements water is? H2O. If I say give me water and you give me HO, have you given me water? No. If I tell you the crime is burglary and you don't prove breaking, have you proved burglary? No. Okay? That's what it is. We will give you the definition of every crime, of every tort, contract. We will give you that. That's number one. And then when you're studying that, you go through it and you have they proved each and every element. Because if you don't prove one element, you lose. Judge says, didn't prove your case? Go. That's it. It's over. Pretty embarrassing if they do that in front of your client. Okay? All right. I told you last thing. How do you brief a case? So the best thing to do is write the name of the case and put the year after it. Okay? The second thing should be a category called facts. Very brief. I don't care. The law is, if it's an automobile accident, it doesn't matter if it was a Cadillac or a Subaru. That's not the point. It was an automobile accident. You don't have to tell me it's a 1956, Chevy, Ford, 7, whatever. That's irrelevant. You just say, what happened in the case? Then the issue is, what are we talking about? Why is the case in the book? Okay? And the last rule is every case, a concise statement of the law. Okay? I'll teach you this when we start classes and stuff. So the very first case that you're going to brief is Garrett versus Daly, 1955. Okay? Here it is. Plaintiff Garrett, an elderly lady, was injured during a backyard family gathering when Daly, a 5.5-year-old boy, moved the chair out from under him. Have you ever done that in school or had your kids do that? So she falls and breaks her hip. So she sues the kid. Okay? So those are the facts. Then the question, why is this case in the book? Because we're studying the element of intent. That one particular element of the tort of battery, intent, has to be intentional. Did the 5.5-year-old boy have the intent? The rule is it tells you what intent is. Okay? Big point. Daily, we call him Johnny in class. We talk about this case all the time. If Johnny's a snot-nosed kid and pulls the chair away, he's going to win, right? If Johnny is a thoughtful, nice guy and pulls the chair away because he didn't realize Grandma was going to sit down, she's going to lose. Okay? It doesn't matter in any of your cases who wins or who loses. We're not studying that. Those are facts. They give you the facts. We all have the same facts. When you take an exam, every single one of you gets the same question, the same facts. Why? What you're looking for is, regardless of who wins or loses, what is the law? What is the case trying to tell us? And it's very simple. A volitional, a voluntary act performed with knowledge, there is a substantial certainty that the result will follow. That is what satisfies the element of intent. And then you go to the next thing. The battery, the intentional, harmful, or offensive. The next case is going to talk about harmful. The next case is going to talk about offensive, touching of another without consent or legal privilege. That's how the book's going to go. You'll never ever get another case on the definition of intent. We'll tell you what it is, but you'll never get another thing on that. Okay? And outline. We'll teach you how to do outlines. The outcome of the case depends upon the facts, but regardless, regardless of the facts, you've learned what the law is in the case. The judge or the jury applies those facts to the law, okay? And don't fight the law. I don't care if you don't like it, okay? If you want to fight the law, become an attorney. Then you can fight the law. It certainly won't help you on an exam. It'll help you go not pass an exam, okay? And my experience has been, once you become an attorney, you're no more interested in fighting the law. You want to start practicing law and get on with your career. Anyway, it's a fun course. This is what an outline looks like. We will go through that your first course. I need everyone's email address today and telephone number. I will then send you an email and tell you exactly how the first class is going to go, what you do need to review, what you don't need to read or brief, and we'll get started that way. Okay? What do you guys?
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
In the legal pad, you can give us your email addresses. I'm sure Irene already has it. All right, that's our first course, the first course you'll have on Tuesday evening. On Wednesday evening, you are very fortunate to have Dean Stedding, who you might have heard has got almost 4 decades of experience in criminal law here in Riverside County. I started in 1978, and I just finished my 47th year in criminal defense, and I'm into my 48th year. And I'm so proud to be involved with Dean Stedding, because between the two of us, we've seen most everything that comes down the road. We can talk to you about what's in the cases, what's sort of behind the ideas in the cases, and we can exchange places from time to time. Sometimes she tells me how to defend a case, and I tell her what I recommend the prosecution do. But it's a really useful, excellent class. I think it's the finest class we have. Dean Stedding, you want to come up and say a little something to our new students and the rest of the people gathered?
I'm wearing the school colors, red and black. And the reason I'm wearing the red today is I want you to think about graduation day. And on graduation day, you're going to wear a black gown, and you're going to have a doctoral cowl that goes around your neck and flows halfway down your back. And yours will be trimmed in red, your school colors. Mine will be trimmed in sky blue, which is my school color from my law school, and everybody in the room will have a different cowl. So red is your color. I had to think about what I might speak about today, as I always do for this day each year, because I know Dean Evans will compare and contrast criminal law with tort law. And so then I'm going to be boring if I talk about basic criminal law. So I decided I would tell you what I did for my summer break. But before I do that, I want to tune you up to a little bit about me, which is, when I was in junior high school, I signed up to take a summer class from the school to learn how to type. I took a typing class. We learned how to type on a manual typewriter. I had to learn how to change the ribbon. When I went into typing, a ribbon went around the present or in my hair. But in a manual typewriter, there was this new definition of ribbon. I had to learn how to type because I could not erase my mistyping. My typos would make my final product look lousy. And if I wanted to have a second copy, I had to use carbon paper. 10 years and more later, I started as a lawyer with the district attorney's office in Indio. Lawyers had no typewriters. Lawyers wrote everything on a legal pad and handed it to a secretary to type. The county funded secretaries to have this newfangled thing called electric typewriter, where the ribbon was in a cartridge. Pretty soon you could back up and white out your typographical errors, but you still had to use carbon paper to have multiple carbons to file those documents with the court. Then, as a manager with the district attorney's office, I managed the rollout of the first generation of computers to everybody, the next generation that included the internet, and I don't remember how many generations of new computers and all they could do for you and print and send them directly to the court. Nobody had to walk over in the heat anymore and carry that paperwork. My point being, I spent my summer trying to figure out what this thing called the AI is and what impact it may have on your life as a student. Because I had some thoughts, but they probably weren't completely accurate. So before I move into how I learned it, I just wanted to cross back to these other tools that I had growing up. Anybody ever heard of Cliff Notes?
Yes.
They still have Cliff Notes. When your teacher assigns you to read Pride and Prejudice, you could elect to read Pride and Prejudice. Or you could go to your local bookstore, buy Cliff Notes, read Cliff Notes, and they would tell you the protagonist, the antagonist, the good guy, the bad guy, what the theme was, where it was set, and what it was all about, and why maybe your teacher assigned you to read it. And those who read Cliff Notes maybe got a C, and probably don't remember a thing about Pride and Prejudice. It's different than reading the text. In law school, you could spend money buying Gilbert's, which is an outline. And it will feed you criminal law, torts law, whatever law. Spend your money. But to tell you about me, I never spent any money on Cliff Notes or Gilbert's. No. And that's how I will be with you. So with this thing called AI, I went to an all-day conference in Palm Springs, put on by the Palm Springs Chamber of Commerce. I signed up for the resident track, not the business track. And in this huge auditorium, the others who signed up all looked like me, old and trying to figure out what this thing called AI is all about. Fantastic. I spent some time with two very young exhibitors, your age or younger, who had just graduated with an undergraduate degree which would help them in this thing called computer tech AI world. And I said to them, listen, I teach law school. And I sensed that my law students may be relying on the AI to prep for their classes. And these two young men said, if you sense it, you can assume it. I said, oh, okay. I also read a book called Code Intelligence by a professor at Wharton School of Business. And he wrote the book from the eye of a professor with incoming students who were all doing some aspect of AI. And it's a very good book about how AI helps in this way, but it hinders in other ways. And really emphasizes that AI is a support tool. I would critically say, like Gilbert's, like Cliff Notes. That's my warning, be careful. The third thing that I read was an opinion published in the New York Times in the middle of the summer by David Brooks. I like David Brooks, I like the way he writes. And he wrote a whole thing about AI. The point I'm making is, what I've learned so far is that AI is very new. I can think back to when computers were very new and not so helpful until they weren't so new anymore. it is limited by its youth. And even in AI conversation, people talk about how the AI can hallucinate. I love the use of that word hallucinate, because that means that AI, limited based on whatever it's working on, can get a bit too creative. And there have been some national stories about that just this summer, where one of the federal agencies published an opinion letter on a topic, and everybody could tell it was written by AI because it was misquoting people and their studies. And those people came forward and said, that's not what my study was about. My study never said that. And so that's the cautionary note. Well, let me tell you about David Brooks's article. He referenced a study at MIT involving only 57 people. That's not a lot for a big study. 1/3 of them were asked to write an essay on a topic using only their brain. 1/3 of them were asked to write an essay on the same topic and could use their search engine on the internet. And the last group write the same essay topic using AI. So those who wrote with just their brain, those who read their articles, found that those articles that they wrote, the essays that they wrote, offered a wider variety of arguments and a wider variety of things to think about. Whereas the group who used AI sourced a lot of suggested studies. If you look at this, if you look at that, which would mean that before you would offer it up, you would be tracking each and every one of those studies to make sure it was accurate. The AI studies were also very homogeneous. They all read alike, not very helpful. So when each person was asked to orally recite, tell me what you wrote about, those in the brain group were far better at orally reciting the content of what they wrote. And the AI users had no recall. They hooked everybody up to an EKG as they worked. And those working with their brains and their EKG had tremendous different interactions noted within their brain during the process. And the AI people had very little brain activity when they simply fed to AI, write this for me. So, each hooked up to an AI, the more brain activity, we all know since we were little, if you don't engage the brain, you're not going to learn. So, in the criminal law class, you will be asked to read on average 40 pages a week. You will be asked to brief the cases that are internal to the content of what you've read. We will tell you how to brief. And you will be writing a criminal law outline starting the first night of class. And you will turn your outline in before midterms and before finals, and again before spring midterm and spring final, so that we can be sure that not only are you keeping up with what you're learning, but you're using a tool called writing in an outline to help you remember. My concern is briefing that case and writing that outline. You might be inclined to turn that job over to AI. And I would say this about that. It's like buying Cliff Notes to read Pride and Prejudice. You're not going to really recall it. You might pass the class. You might even pass the baby bar. But have you learned how to be a good lawyer? So I'm encouraging you to do your own work. Another way of saying this is, if you only prepare for class and for our exams with an eye towards passing the baby bar or the state bar, if that's all you do, you might pass the baby bar in the first try. Probably not. You might be an okay lawyer, but you're not gonna be a great lawyer. And I want your goal to be pass those exams the first time around, be a great lawyer. So the reality is, welcome back, everybody. And I love the size of this class. Thank you. I think you know what I'm expecting. This is a doctoral program. And as much as I want each of you to succeed, as Dean Evans said, I totally am on board with him. I know you're the only one who can accomplish that success. Thank you.
And I say at the other half of the criminal law class, I do not discount Gilbert's or AI in and of themselves. You gotta read your cases first, you gotta get it, you gotta brief the case. You can double check if you got it right with a Gilbert's or with an AI. I use Gilbert's myself in law school. I'm not bragging about it, I'm just telling you, sometimes you crystallize your thinking. Because sometimes you read something like that and you go, oh, that's what that means. Because that's what part of John Evans was saying. You have to ask yourself, why am I reading this case? What's the point of having this? Sometimes it will help you with that. But you don't start with that. AI is not good for case briefing, it's wrong. Reading an outline without reading the case is wrong, it doesn't get it. It's a lot more work to check your work with a brief or with an outline with AI, but you can do that, as far as I'm concerned. But if we see you reading off your laptop and it sounds like you're reading us from an AI quotation, we're gonna say, don't do that, stop that. You gotta get it in your own head. That's what we ask you when you stand up to brief a case. What is this case about? You need to get that. What is it about? What are the facts about? What's the law that applies here and how does it come out? If you can do that, that's great. If it helps you to double check your work with AI or outlines or whatever, that's fine. But that's double checking after you've done the work yourself, okay? Everybody got that? Really important. We'll remind you about 100 times in the next semester. You gotta read every case. A lot of times students get together and say, well, you take this one, I'll take that one. Bad idea. Read them all yourself. And if you wanna have an agreement that one of you presents it or another and you tell us that, we might let you do that. But you've gotta read every case yourself. You've gotta digest the information. These cases are about real life circumstances. And real life circumstances are litigated here in the courtroom. And then if one side or the other doesn't like the results, they go to the appellate court, maybe to the Supreme Court. But the first part of this is someone comes into your office when you're a lawyer and they tell you this big long story. And you have to figure out what the heck's in there. What is that? And so that's what law school is all about, teaching you how to interpret that kind of diatribe, okay? I really am looking forward to working with you all because we want you to think like lawyers. Lawyers have to listen to the scenario. You have to think about what is in there. What is that all about? What can I tell this person on the other side of the desk? What can I tell the court about this case? And we'll work on that with you, all right? Okay, so contracts is probably the hardest class for most students. I don't know why. To me, it was the easiest class. We have a fantastic contracts teacher by the name of Alex Reed. He's going to come up and tell you a little bit about what you can experience in contracts on Thursdays. On Tuesday.
Thursday. On Tuesday. Good morning, my name is Alex Reed. I'm your professor of contracts. You can expect to see in contracts me having a fantastic time. I love contracts. Listen, law school was the hardest thing I ever did outside of like personal relationships. I mean, college, once you know the system, high school, once you know the system, you know, it's kind of easy, you can get through. There's no really a way to hide in law school. The best thing I can tell you is to do the work. And contracts is, I think, one of the reasons it's more difficult is just because some of the ideas are really complicated. And if you're not briefing your case, if you're not really boiling down what's going on in these cases, you're going to be confused, you're going to be lost. And there's no way to hide in contracts. The way the class goes is essentially at the beginning of class we do hypos. You know, each one of you will have to do a hypo, basically covering the rules we covered in the last class. And then after that, we're into case briefs. The way I like my case briefs is I like to hear a story of the case. But I'm also into all the nitty gritty, the procedure. I want to know everything about the case. This will be my 9th year teaching contracts. I know these cases like the back of my hand. If you don't know the cases, if you're reading someone else's briefs, you're not going to be at the level where I'm at, where then you can see like the disappointment in my face. I'm no longer having as much fun, and it's going to be miserable for you. So again, do the work, do the reading. The first semester, what is a contract? So a contract is basically a promise that if broken, you can go to court and you can get some type of remedy. Not all promises are contracts. If your dad promises you, I'll take you to Disneyland if you get straight A's, and the kid gets straight A's, and he says, take me to Disneyland, and the dad says, no, you know, sucker, right? The kid can't turn around and sue the dad. That's not a contract. That's not really what we're talking about. So we're going to get into tell the difference of how do you form an actual contract. Usually that's through offer and acceptance. And then after that, we're going to teach you, well, okay, you maybe formed a contract. How do you get out of a contract now? What are the defenses to contract? Basically, the tail end of this semester is going to be about the specific rules of written agreements. Everybody thinks, oh, I have a contract, and they wave this paper around. Well, that's just a piece of paper. There are oral agreements that can be just as valid as written agreements, but there are some agreements that need to be in writing. You're going to need to know what that is. And that one doesn't need to be in writing. That writing needs to be a sufficient writing. So you need to know what all that is. That pretty much takes us through the first semester. We talked about contract formation, and then a few defenses, and then the second semester, we get like, I don't know, 10, 15 more defenses, and then we get into, all right, you have a contract, there are no defenses, how do you know whether the person breached their contract? Did they break the contract? Can I go to court and get a remedy? We're gonna talk about breach. And there are levels of breach. The one level you want to reach to is where the person screws up so badly what they were supposed to do that you don't need to do anything, right? If they painted one half of your house, do you need to pay them the full $1,000? Or do you just need to pay them $500, right? You don't want to be like, I don't want to pay them anything. I wanted one whole painted house, they gave me half a house. I don't want to pay them anything. So we're going to discuss at what point you have to pay them the $500 or which you don't have to pay them anything. The second half of the second semester is going to be about remedies mostly. They breached their agreement, what do you get, right? You can prove it. We had a contract, they broke it, what do we get? If you have a contract to say for Beyonce Knowles to perform at your birthday party, and then when it comes to your birthday party, instead of Beyonce, Solange shows up, right? Can you do that? And one, can you force Beyonce to perform at your birthday party the way that she promised? The answer is probably no. But you might be able to sue her for good money for putting Solange up there when it should have been Beyonce. The last part of this semester, the class we're going to talk about is who has the right to sue on a contract. If I have a contract between me and someone else, can you sue on if I break that promise? There are certain occasions where you can, even though you're not a party to the contract. And then lastly, who can participate in the contract? If I have a contract to sell my car, can someone else agree to buy the car from me other than the original person if they want to give that car to somebody else? Contracts is complicated. The best tips I have for just law school is just commit to the process. It's not really, I enjoyed law school, but it was really, really difficult. So just throw yourself into it. The best tips I have are to group up. Don't go it alone. Some people don't want to study with others. There's just weird dynamics in groups amongst people and students, but try your best to find a group of people that you can stand to be around and don't freak you out when you're talking about studying, and then stick with that group. So don't go it alone. Brief your own cases. Briefing your own cases, reading an opinion, and deriving the law from that is one of your major skills as a lawyer. It's one of the things that you'll actually use as a lawyer. You're never going to take a multiple choice question. You're never going to have a timed written essay. But reading an opinion and knowing what the law is a key skill as a lawyer. Briefing develops that skill. So if you're not briefing your own cases, it's like paying somebody else to work out for you, right? You're not going to be able to lift the weight if you're not actually doing the work. So do your own briefs, build that skill. The more briefs you do, the easier they're going to get. And especially contracts have some weird ideas. It's complicated. We go through some very old cases. It's hard to understand what they're talking about. Briefing a case will help you understand what they're talking about. You're literally breaking down each piece. What are they actually saying? I'm a legal nerd, so I don't know, anybody here speak Latin? All right, so you're gonna see lots of Latin in the books. I'm gonna be like, hey, what's this Latin word mean? I know what it means, I've been teaching the class forever. But if you're saying, I don't know what the word means, how could you have understood the opinion if they're parts of it in a different language, you don't know what that is? So I'm always gonna ask you about the Latin. If there's anything weird, I'm probably gonna ask you about it in the cases I think it's interesting. So do your own case briefs, which takes you to outlines. Half of the problem of law school is the memorization. You have to memorize everything. There's not really a good way around it. And it's just like books and books and books of stuff. You're gonna have to memorize all of it. Outlines help you memorize. I use flashcards. A lot of people have different ways on how to like consume the information. But what I said, whatever it is, just engage in it yourself, internalize it, and that way it'll make it easier to memorize it when you have to memorize. I mean, like books, you're gonna go through the entire contracts book, you're gonna get lots of rules, you need to know each one, each little part of that rule to apply it correctly. For case briefing, I don't ask my students to turn in case briefs. Like I said, you can kind of tell when somebody hasn't done a case brief. But there's a great YouTube video that I recommend you watch. I think it's from the University of Virginia Law School. It's maybe a 30-minute video on all the different things that are in the case brief. And it touches on all the things that I usually like to see in a case brief. I like the technical things. I'm going to ask you about them. So just close read the material, do your own work, and then just come to have fun in contracts. How we got it? I think that's pretty much it. Any questions? All right, we'll see you in class on Thursday.
I had 4 years of Latin in high school, and I was so disappointed when they took it out of the Catholic Mass. And there's a phrase that we always remember, Alex, semper ubi sub ubi, always wear underwear. Just one that we fractured phrase from Latin. And Sam Trussell is here. Trussell, Professor Trussell is Judge Evans' partner. He just came in after we had already introduced Torts. He is a fantastic guy, has done phenomenal big time stuff in PI on the plaintiff side. So you've got a plaintiff's lawyer and a defense lawyer. You can't beat it in torts, it's just the best. All right, there's something else that we started doing right at the beginning of the law school, which started 14 years ago, I guess, 14 years ago this year, because it was the 12th of June 2012. We started having our Saturday enrichment class. We'd have people come and do practice exams, practice what they're going to see on the baby bar. That's when we had essays as well as multi-states. Now we only have multiple choice questions, but we still have an enrichment program for every class every Saturday. We have an enrichment program. We have a lunch, which is like the informal version of the Inns of Court in England, where people come together and have so many dinners in order to be a lawyer. And we do that, and then we might have a speaker come in from the legal profession. And I want you to know that for the 1Ls especially, for the 2Ls that have not yet passed the baby bar, you have more than one chance to pass it. We have a special course every Saturday. And Belle Nogales is going to come up and tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. Then I'll let you know that concurrent with what Belle is going to help you with as far as the multi-states and how to deal with those, we're going to have research and writing for you from a young lady who used to be a legal law librarian named Faith DuMichel. So you're going to learn legal research and writing, and you're going to learn exam techniques on Saturdays, so that you're raring to go by the time you get through the first year and you're ready to take the baby bar, because you have to pass that, as Judge Evans said, in order to go on. All right? Belle, come on.
Hi, again, I'm Belle. I just want to touch on something Professor Reed said, just because he is really
definitely such a nerd and so excited about his classes, but read those cases, read them all the time, but for his class, really read them, including the footnotes, because he has tripped me up on so many footnotes that I have forgotten to read. So really, really like dive into, he's gonna want all of your super specifics of every case, every single number that you see. And if you start seeing him twirl his hair, you are off topic. So like get back and really like, I'm serious, calling you out on there, but it's true. Okay, so Saturdays. Basically, your first year here, you're gonna be learning, like we said, torts, crim, and contracts in that order. Those are the 3 subjects that you need to know in and out to pass the baby bar. Those are the only 3 subjects tested on the baby bar. So it's very, very important that you seriously understand those concepts. And as everybody already said, this is a really intense program, right? It's a doctoral program. You're gonna be getting hit with tons of information every single week in every single class. I'm not trying to scare you, just trying to prepare you. A lot of reading, a lot of cases. It's a lot to digest, and you're definitely going to need to make sure that you're spending a lot of time trying to digest that and understanding all of it every week, because one week you get behind, you're gonna be left in the dust, because the next week it just keeps going and keeps going, and like contracts in particular, it builds on itself. So if you didn't understand something a week ago and you're now 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, you're not gonna be able to understand everything that's following, following that. So with Saturdays, I thought that it would be a really great idea to offer myself to help you all do a review every Saturday, along with the legal research and writing that's gonna happen. So separately, I am going to come in and help you all kind of just review everything that you've learned just from that prior week. So whatever you've gone over in torts, crim, and contracts, we can kind of break it all down and digest it to help you grasp everything that you have learned that week, and then build on it every single week. And on top of that, just helping you all understand essay writing. There's a really particular way to write essays in law school. It is not like undergrad. Nothing about law school is like undergrad, actually, so forget everything that you ever learned. Essay writing, legal essay writing, follows a very particular format. It's called IRAC. It's something that you're gonna have to learn and be really good at. You don't need it for the baby bar anymore. You did when we took it, but you're gonna need it for every single test and essay. You're gonna need it for the bar, and it also just helps you understand and grasp the concepts. It's also gonna help you in legal writing when you graduate. So I am going to be helping you all just for like, probably I think like an hour of just reviewing all the material that you've gone through, and then going through essay writing techniques, and then also multiple choice. The baby bar is now just multiple choice questions, they call them MBEs, and you're gonna have to take 100 questions all on torts, crim, and contracts, and you need to get a 70, or maybe it's a 69 now to pass. It doesn't seem like a lot, but MBEs are so hard, okay? They are really a lot harder than you think. They are very difficult. You are gonna have these multiple choice questions are paragraphs long, each one. You're gonna be reading through like 5, especially contracts ones, 5 paragraphs with tons of different numbers and dates and all of these concepts, and then you're gonna have 4 potential answers that most of them all sound great. At least 2 of them are also gonna be right. They're both gonna be right, and your job is gonna have to determine what was the writer of this question, what are they trying to test me on, and which one is the most correct answer, which is so annoying because they're both right. But you have to figure out which one is more right, which one is more applicable to this situation. And there is a lot of techniques that we can go over that are gonna help you, especially in deducing, like at least just getting down to where it's a 50-50 shot. But all in all, understanding the concepts and really grasping every single thing that you're learning and digesting it and really taking it in is gonna be your best, obviously your best tool in tackling any MBE or an essay. Because if you know those rules of law that you're getting from those cases, you're gonna be able to read that fact pattern, read that multiple choice question, and be like, oh, that reminds me of Garrett versus Daly, that reminds me of this case, that reminds me of that. And in that situation, oh, here's the rule of law that came out, here's how they applied it, oh, okay, so that's probably C. It'll get easier as you go through it, but yeah, so really important is to every single week read all of those cases, really digest them, and then we can go over them on Saturdays
anything that was complicated or that seemed a little weird to you that you're not understanding, we can go over it. And then also, I think a really good, just want to end on this, what Professor Reed said as well, talk to each other. You need to be really close. These are going to be your best friends for the next 4 years. I know that my class, we are super, super close, and it has helped us so much. I think that's what's made us succeed so well, and we all passed the baby bar, and we've all, you know, had a really great time because we study together, we talk constantly. You need to start making those now. If you try to do this alone, I want to say it's not going to work. It might work for you, but your chances are a lot lower. So definitely start like getting each other's numbers, getting close, and get ready to like take on this big adventure together because it's really awesome. So I'll see you all Saturdays and every other day because I'll be here.
All right. Pass this around so you get everybody's email. So, want to remind everyone you need to check in with Irene and Excella because you need to get your books, get your syllabi, sign your disclosure statements. And that has to be done today because we're going to get started pretty soon here. This is the 2nd of September, the 2nd of September. Also, in the back of the room, there is a lawyer's quote book. This will give you some sometimes sarcastic, but sometimes esoteric things about the legal profession, especially for families. It's nice to have. If the students haven't already got one, you can get one too. And then the lawyer joke book. I wrote this with a friend of mine because so many people would want to come up to me and say, "Hey, have you heard this one?" And I've heard them all. So I tell them the punchline and it wastes their time. The bottom of page 9 is the funniest joke I've seen in the lawyer joke book. So these are available to all of you. Anybody wants one? There's some in the back room, and there's more. So if we run out of the ones that are sitting in the back, just talk to Irene or Isella, and they'll get them for you. We're so proud to have you here. We really are. We're looking forward to putting you through the mill. It's going to take 4 years, and 4 years from now, you'll have graduated, and you'll probably have been sitting for the bar exam. And the bar exam is a tough thing. California is said to have the hardest. California, New York, although, I don't know, I never took another bar exam. I took the bar exam in February of 1978. And I've been practicing since then. I'm in the 48th year, and I love this profession. I gotta tell you, the one thing that we share with people who are here that are professors is we love our profession, we really do. And we hope you do too. Some people say, "Nah, I don't like that." That's fine if you don't. But if you want to be happy in your life, you need to love your profession. I forget who told me this when I was a kid, but just find something you love and do it for a living. It'll make it easy because you won't work a day in your life. Please, please get your work done, read all your cases, do your briefs, and if you have any difficulties with any of that, Bill can be talking to you on Saturdays. And for everybody else, thank you for being understanding about your loved ones, because they will be absent for a lot of time, because they'll be working hard, and they need to spend time reading, studying, and understanding the law. And if you need any help, you just talk to Irene. Irene's the boss of the place, and any of us are available if you have any questions about what you're studying. Many of our students are here, graduates and or continuing students, all willing to help. All you gotta do is ask. So thank you all for being here, and we're gonna have a barbecue pretty soon, I think. Who's helping us cook?
Rosalia's son-in-law.
What's that? You don't know?
Rosalia's son-in-law.
Excellent. Well, so hang around. There's some goodies out there that Irene already has for you, and you can start with dessert first, like the people. All right, thank you.
I don't think so they have
One right there going on. How much longer do I have?
It's my wildest.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm not angry with that.
Oh, did you guys talk to me?